落ちた競合飛べないカラス
What's up YouTube, it's Blackwing here, and today I have a special guest here. I have Dale Dunn from Africa, and he got top 16 by playing Caliuga Blackwings at his nationals. And yeah, introduce yourself, Dale, and let's jump into the games after that.
Hi guys, Dale Dunn here. I've been on the channel before, maybe seen me on Kanak's channel as well. Representing Blackwings all the way here in Africa, just trying to keep that Blackwing flag rising high. So, it was about an 80-man nationals, not the biggest event, but it was still a very competitive event. I expected it to be very meta heavy, and it was. Tenpai, Snake Eyes, Voiceless Voice, Yubel, Branded, it's basically the decks that dominated the top tables. And then Blackwings, obviously. So round one, played against Tenpai. Won the dice roll, unfortunately,
Oh no.
You're gonna win those.
Yeah.
Oh no. Win first and looked amazing. Full combo. I was like, I'm so gassed. Talents as well. It's like, throw your hand traps at me. Obviously, I didn't know what I was up against. Thought it was Simoon, got hit with Ogre on the Black Whirlwind. Talents his hand. Saw two Mourners, right? Geki and Cosmic. And I was like, This is definitely Tenpai. And I was like, the only thing I'm worried about here, because my hand is such gas, is the Cosmic. So I just put that Cosmic back in his deck. When full combo, it dropped Mourner, didn't matter. Our deck can play through multiple hands, especially we know it. Set up full combo, and he just passed. Like, he was like, no, let's go game 2.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
With all my testing against Tenpai, one thing I've noticed is the deck can actually play fairly easily through their body. They go first. So what I actually did was still side as if I'm going first. So put in the crossouts because the actual board is easy to deal with. It's the hand traps that always gets me.
Yeah, and I had the same in the Swedish nationals. When I played against Tenpai, I was a little bit unsure if they would let me go first, but I think the safe bet is always just to assume they are letting you go first anyway, just to side in those crossouts. So I think that was definitely correct, yeah.
He went first though, which was shocking. But I said,
Really?
okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually went first. He set 2 and he passed.
All right.
Like, so this is just hand traps again. I drew for turn. And I started comboing. I got hit with an Imperm. I got hit with Ash. And then I had full combo, like Simoon, everything. The hand was just gas. And then on the summon of water, he flips D-barrier. And I'm like, okay.
Ow.
I'm interested now. Let's see.
Okay.
And he calls XYZ.
Oh.
And I look at him. And he's like, yeah, you're not going to be doing that lock again on me. I'm like, yeah, I'm not. Because I'm going to OTK you now. And then I just went full combo, synchro board, and OTK, and I was like, that's a great way to start the event. 2-0. I was one of the first move up off my seat. I think that round was like 15 minutes maybe.
Yeah, let's go to round number 2 then.
Round number 2, and this is probably my saddest round. So it was actually Yubel that I played against in this matchup.
Yep.
Won the dice roll again. Second game, second dice roll. I was like, let's go. We're in the zone here. Opening hand. It looks good. It looks good. And he drops. It's a good hand. I'm going first. I'm happy with it. And I go small wall. And he goes Ash. And I'm like, this is a very early Ash. And they usually don't Ash small wall. So I'm thinking he doesn't have much. And he's hoping this is going to stop me. And I have Colbine. And I'm like, I really want Simoon here. Because I feel like I'd rather want to go the safer line with more extension than to like just commit. Because I only had water otherwise. Water and another Blackwing. Chose to grab the Simoon. I called by his Ash, grabbed the Simoon, went full combo, and then I made a mistake.
Oh no.
So I decided,
Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 towers up. I have the ultimate, I have the full armor, I have Arsenal Falcon, everything set up. And I currently have the Black Feather Whirlwind in the hand, and I have all the materials to make the Blackwing Assault Dragon. And I decided to keep Black Feather Whirlwind for follow-up.
For grind game.
I was like, okay, let's play this a bit. I have 2 towers up. Getting over 2 towers is not going to be easy for any deck. So I'm feeling confident. I have Sanduki in hand as well. I have a hand trap. I'm like, no, I'm good. There's no ways. And he goes draw phase, and he's like, in draw phase, I'm going to go super poly. And I'm like, oof. wow then. And he eats the Darkness and the Arsenal Falcon. And I'm like, okay, no Kelly Lock. I'm not sure what I'm up against yet, but I'm thinking, okay, if it's branded, I'm good. The two towers are not going to be able to out both. They can out one definitely. The other one is safe with Chinook and everything.
Yeah.
And then I see it's Yubel. And I'm like, okay. He starts comboing, and I Ash the Samsara. He then goes Nightmare Throne. And I don't have Shang alive in the grave.
Mm.
And Chinook wasn't enough. He ends up summoning the Yubels, and he literally hits into the Ultimate Falcon, and he kills me with the reflection damage of Yubel. Game 2. Siding going first, the crossouts in, one of each of the hand traps, so we have a good lineup, we can counter everything. Opening hand, water, hand traps, cross out. I'm like, okay, this is not good. I go summon water, effect. He's like, no, that's cool. I combo off and everything, no hand traps, but it's only water that I have. So
Yeah.
the end board is literally Darkness and Arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can bounce
Draw for it?
Sudrip to your hand with that combo, right?
Yes, I have
yeah,
it
yeah,
in
yeah.
hand.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
everything.
Yep.
Because he said, draw phase, super poly.
Goddamn, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what it. Because once I have the Mud Dragon up, I can't target anything. So now my Impum that I have in hand, the Vela I have in hand is dead. So now I'm just watching him combo off.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. Because otherwise,
That's the worst one.
yeah. Because otherwise, if he would have somehow break the board, you would still have the hand traps. But with Mud Dragon, you can't even activate those. Yeah, that's the worst case scenario. He draws Super Poly, and it goes into Mud Dragon. Yeah, and you draw like that kind of hand.
Round 3, Kashtira, Fire King, Snake Eye. He just played all of it in that deck. I was like, okay. He had a 50 card deck. Unfortunately, lost the dice roll, and now we're going to learn that there's a streak now. Because from round 3 all the way up till about round 7, I lost every dice roll after this. Yeah, so that was fun as well. He went first because he won the dice roll. I opened Impum and Veiler, which again Snake Eyes we love to see. He went 1 for 1. I Veilered him, he passed turn. I literally OTK'd him on the following turn. I played through all his hand traps because he had 3 hand traps. I played through all 3. It was a really easy game. Game 2 started in all the hand traps basically, except Ghost Ogre, because Ghost Ogre really isn't that good. And I actually sided in Lightning Storms for this matchup because Lightning Storm forces out a lot of interaction from them.
Yeah.
So just handling that Lightning Storm is actually really good, which is why I played it over the Cosmics. Game 2, and he's like, oh no, you go first. Like, what is going on? I'm so confused. I'm like, sure, but the Kelly package is out now, so I can't even Kelly lock him.
Yeah.
And I open my hand, and my hand is Ash, Impum, Droll, Shamal. And I'm like, wow, going second this hand would have been so good, eh? And I just like, now just pass, like, you can go.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my plan worked, and I start going off, and I'm like, dealing with hand traps, and it's just like, okay. He ends up just setting one and passing back to me. I draw Sudri for turn. I'm like, okay, we're in this game now. I'm like, normal summon Sudri effect is like skill drain. And I'm just like, okay, wow, okay. And then we had like a back and forth for a few turns where he just couldn't do much because he couldn't get into engine to get rid of the skill drain to start, and I had hand traps, and then the skill drain just stopped me from playing because I couldn't get anything. And that was the game until eventually he got into combo and he won that game.
Okay.
We then went into game 3. I decided for going first. Open crossout. Crossout was honestly amazing for this format. Yeah, and hand traps. Crossout has been amazing.
Yeah.
I went first. Combo. He hit me with nub. I had the crossout for the nub. He was like, I could see the joy in his face just dissipate. Went to his turn. He drew for turn. He's like, because obviously he doesn't know. He starts Kelly lock. He's just like, oh, okay, cool. You win. I'm gonna pack up and go. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Next game. Round 4, and this is actually a very interesting matchup. I actually played against Sharks, so a water deck, which is very interesting. And this is actually also the youngest player at the event. He also made top 16. He was 15 years old. So like brilliant player with the deck. Lost the dice roll yet again. He went first. I only opened Ash, but he opened basically his rank ups or his Zonda and his Kunai. The cards you don't want to see in your hand, he saw them, and the one Ash was enough, and all you could end on was Toad. One interruption for Blackwings. Like, we know already how that's going to end. I OTK'd him that game. We win game 2. I decided to side in board breakers for this matchup because he does play at my local, so I do know what he's on. And everyone that plays against him, hand traps just don't seem to stop him. It's like a very similar Blackwing type of matchup. So I decided to side in board breakers. I end up still opening a Veiler and an Imperm and Pot. I'm able to keep him on a very mediocre board, but he has 3 back row. He has double Toad up, and that's mediocre for him. That was his words. Oh, this is a very mediocre board. I'm like, oh, yeah, 2 Omnis and 3 back rows is so bad. I pot for 6, and I'm able to grab Lightning Storm. I've used the Lightning Storm. He uses Toad. He sets it to his field, though. And this was actually his mistake because I still had Simoon combo. So I go Simoon, and he activates White Howling. It's a trap card. But your opponent needs a spell in their grave, and then you can pop a spell on the field. But he said Lightning Storm. So he couldn't even activate it. So he's like, oh, my bad. And because of that, and he lets Simoon go off because of that. And then I just comboed. And then I played through his second Toad because he Toad negate too late. And somehow, I have no clue, but I broke his board. Double Toad negate and 3 backer. I just played through all of it. I was so shocked.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Round 5, we actually took on the other birds. Not Fluanderies, it was actually Raidraptors.
Okay.
Lost the dice roll, unfortunately, yet again. As we can see, there's a trend. He goes first. I know Raidraptors enough to know don't hit the main deck monsters, hit the extra deck monsters. Similar to Blackwings, you don't want to hit the main deck stuff because it doesn't usually do enough. He starts turn, he goes into Raider's Knight as his first XYZ monster. I imperm it. He sets 1 and he passes.
Okay.
I'm like, great stuff. Goes my turn, and I'm just able to just OTK him. He had 1 hand trap, wasn't enough. Game 2, he goes first again, and this time I open Imperm and Veiler. He goes Raider's Knight again. I Imperm it. He's like, wow, again. He then ends up going into Y-Strix. I Veiler that. He then ends on SP. He sets 1, comes my turn, and I start comboing. I have Moonline, everything is good. I get Bart on the field, they use effect. He flips D barrier, he calls Synchro. I'm like, okay. But this is full Moonline, so we have bodies.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, sure, you can go on now. And I start playing, and I go into Y-Strix, and and he's not doing anything. I'm like, cool. I'm like, Raider's Knight. And he looks at me, but confused. Like, I'm like, Raider's Knight, cool. I go, Arc Rebellion, and he looked at me, and he almost wants to smile because he knows. And I'm like, Arc Rebellion effect. And I hit him, and he has about 400 life points. I'm literally 400 off from OTKing him.
Yeah.
I make my own SP. I have SP Arc Rebellion, I pass to him.
Yeah.
Goes his turn. He makes another SP, banishes my Arc Rebellion. I have Imperm set. I decide to hold Imperm just in case I top deck something. So to switch off his SP instead of trying to stop the SP is going to chain to the Imperm again. And anyway, still banish. So I just felt like I was pointless at that point.
Yeah.
When my turn, I top deck Simoon, but I still have a Black Whirlwind up because I bounced it with Zephyros the following turn because I didn't have Black Feather Whirlwind.
Yeah.
So I just activate Black Whirlwind again. I tribute my own SP. And he's just like so confused. And I'm like, activate Black Whirlwind. And he's like, chain SP. I'm like, chain Imperm. And he just offers me a handshake.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, you have it.
Yeah.
So that was a fun matchup. Round 6 was the feature match. I think we had that. Lost the dice roll. He went first. His inboard was ridiculous. Game 2, I unfortunately must play in that game too. There was definitely better routes. But it happens. Sometimes you don't always see the line in the moment, but it's always a learning moment. You can look back and be like, okay, I know there can be improvements being made.
Yeah, some improvements, but then again, if your opponent would have played every hand trap perfectly, I think it was still unwinnable. But when I looked at it and I saw that one part, I was like, okay, now wise tricks, and then he went for SP, and I was like, what? But yeah.
So
but yeah.
at that point, I kind of figured he had the nub. So I was like, I'd rather put up the SP early because if he held impump that long, he was holding the impump for a reason. And I was like, he's holding impump because he has impump nub. So he was gonna let me combo impump whatever was gonna stop it, and then just nub impump combo.
Yeah.
But because it dropped that impump, I was like, I'm sure you have nubs. So I just wanted to play it safe, make the SP.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Yeah. Yep.
Round 7. I lost the dice roll again, so that's 5 dice roll loss in a row. And my opponent's like, "Oh no, you can go first."
Ah,
And on the
Tenpai.
inside is smiling, and I'm just like, "Oh, I've been waiting for another matchup of Tenpai."
Yeah.
I go first, and I start comboing. My opponent's like, "Oh no, it's fine, go off. I don't have any hand traps." I'm like, "Cool, because he obviously doesn't know. You're just seeing Blackwing, and he's like, "Oh, okay, he obviously has gas in his hand." He's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna OTK him anyway." And I go full combo, and he's like, cool, he draws per turn, stand by main. I'm like, yeah, no, you're all good. And he goes, pot. I'm like, cost. He pays 6. I'm like, rank up. He's like, oh, what does this do? He's reading the card, whatever. And I'm like, okay, rank up, Kali Yuga. And he looks at it, and he's like, okay, let me just read it. And he's reading. And I'm like, oh, yeah, everything's negated. He's like, oh, so my pot's negated. I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, I'm going to activate. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be negated as well. He's like, no. And I'm like, and the judge literally comes walking around because the judge knows me and he knows what I'm on.
Yeah.
And he looks at the board and he's like, yep, that does everything he says it does. And everyone's like, okay, let's go game 2 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Gallagher. Same thing, game 2, I decide for going first again, just in case. You never know. I asked my opponent if I can go first, like if I'm going first, or if he's going first. He's like, yeah, you're definitely not going first again after that.
Okay.
Yeah. He goes first. He sets up the spheres, and he sets 2 in the back row when he passes. My opening hand is Imperm, Harpy's Feather Duster, Simoon, Blackwing, Black Whirlwind.
Oh,
and I'm
man.
looking at him. I actually feel bad for him. And I'm like, okay, draw phase, Imperm. He's like, oh, okay, sure. Hit the spheres. I'm like, main phase, Harpy's Feather Duster. He's like, chain D barrier. He's like, call synchro. I'm like, cool. I have Simoon with double Black Whirlwind. I start coming. He has no hand traps. Besides, because he had an impump set with the T barrier. There's no other hand trap.
Yeah.
And I go full Arc Rebellion, and Arc Rebellion just OTKs him. And the manager's in shock and disbelief. He's like, you can't believe that just happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, Blackwing just did that to you.
Yeah.
And that was basically the end of the main event. That was the 7 rounds. Ended up coming 12th place. After that, there was a side event again after that, though, which was surprising.
Yep.
It was 3 rounds, but it was a small event. But a lot of the top players that just missed top cut of top 8 went to go play that event because they're like, oh, okay, they still want to be at the event. They still want to play a bit longer. So I'd say round 8 technically because it was the next round. I played against Melodious, pure Melodious. I lost the dice roll. He went first. I literally could not break his board because he set up everything, the bouncing, the DD Crow, he had hand traps. I was like, his end board was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Game 2 went first, crossouts in, hand traps in. I was able to combo, crossout, save the day yet again there. Won that game. Game 3, I was able to hand trap him. He couldn't. I'm actually lying. I'm lying. I didn't have any hand. I did have hand traps. I had an Ash, and I had a Ghost Ogre, and I had Droplet.
Yep.
So I actually decided for this game, because it was Melodious, I'm not going to drop the hand traps, because if they have the gas, the hand traps aren't enough. So I actually held the Droplet instead, and my turn I Droplet and I sent the hand traps off. And that actually won me the game instead. Round 9, it was actually against Malfi Sprite. And I won a dice roll for the first time in what felt like forever. I didn't think I could win those anymore at that point in the day. I went first and I went full combo. My opponent is like, he's just gonna attempt to try to break my board. He only has gas. I'm like, cool. The man top decks, he's like, oh, that's a good card. In draw phase, Super Poly. I'm like, wow. Again, his Super Poly's off the Arsenal Falcon and one of the Blackwing assaults. I have full board. And he actually tries to break my board. He gets really close, but Blackwing Assault was burning him for so much that by the time he went battle phase, because he made Mosquito to try to now hit me for damage and everything, I just went the Blackwing Assault, blow up the board, add full Armor Master to just hit him for game.
Yeah.
And then game 2, he set up full board. I opened no hand traps. I just opened a Lightning Storm, an Engine, and we broke the full board. 3 back row, every Malfi and Sprite monster you could put on the board he had, and we just broke it. So people that say Blackwing Engine isn't strong enough, it is really good. It can play through a lot.
Yeah.
And then the final round in the day, lost the dice roll again. My opponent's like, no, you go first. I'm like, there's no better way to end the day than with the Tenpai matchup. Really, that's honestly the prettiest matchup for Blackwings if you're playing the Kali Yuga version.
Yeah.
There is no easier matchup than that.
Yep.
I go first, start comboing. He throws a couple of hand traps at me. We're still gonna end on Kali Lock at that point, like 1 or 2 hand traps. He's still full Kali Lock.
Yep.
I end up blocking his turn. He just concedes. We go game 2. My opening hand is Droplet, Pot of Prosperity, and combo. He sets up the spheres. He sets up the clear wing. He puts in a back row. And I draw for turn. I activate pot. I pot for 6. My pot 6 was so ridiculous. It was 2 lightning storms, 2 droplets, Simoon, and talents. And he's just looking at me like that's the most ridiculous top 6 that he's seen in a while.
Yeah.
I grab a lightning storm, the back row, I chain droplet, and I switch off his whole board. And then I just went full combo from there, and then OTK'd him. I was like, there's no freer matchup than Tenpai, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's basically the entire day, all the rounds. Blackwings went 8-2 for the day.
Yeah. How do you feel if you would have played a little bit different the 2 games that you lost? Do you think you could have won them?
Okay, so with the Yubel matchup,
Yep.
the first game, I definitely feel like I could have won that game.
Yeah.
Had I actually committed instead of trying to play the long game.
Yeah.
In the Yubel matchup, in most matchups, I feel like it's better to just commit because your opponent needs to open a very specific hand to be able to counter the full board. He needs to open Cosmic and evenly match to be able to out the full board. And even then, you're still going to have a Towers with Shanga and Chinook.
Yeah.
Most people can't play with that. So I felt like in that moment, I should have just committed and I could have won that. And maybe there would have been a game 3 instead of that.
Yeah.
With Voiceless Voice, same thing, game 2. Perhaps there was a way, but the hand traps and my opponent knowing the deck as well as what he does, he helped. Played it. I think there was no better way for him to have played it.
Yeah.
So I feel like those 2 losses were more inevitable. There was no way to really play around it, and that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes you can't win a game.
Yeah. All right. If you would change something in the main, extra, or side deck, what changes would you make? Or did you feel like the deck was perfect for the event? Now looking at it retrospectively.
One thing that I was very concerned about going into the event, and I think I spoke to you about it as well before, was Branded. I was worried Branded was going to be a very big, and I felt like I had no real good counter against Branded because if they were winning the dice roll, which if you look at my track record, I'm not good at winning dice rolls. They're full gimmick puppet lock, and all we really have, like, if we don't open the hand traps, or we don't have bush steals, we don't have crow, we don't have ghost ball. We have droplet and call by to try to stop.
Yeah.
So that was my main concern. There was every single round there was Branded players next to me.
Okay.
But they were not across from me. So there's nothing in terms for that matchup that I was worried about that I changed because I was even considering going 42 to play 2 Bastilles in the main, just to have Bastilles there because there was nowhere else to put them. Main deck I was happy with. I feel like the Ash Veiler Imperm lineup for hand traps is really good this format. It hits, it covers everything basically.
Yeah.
For a main deck that you want to have.
Yeah.
Extra deck, Arc Rebellion outperformed itself. I genuinely, I wouldn't, even up until now, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
I feel like D-Barrier is a real card. We need something to play around D-Barrier. Otherwise, we're ending on SP, which you're not really doing much with SP alone into a board.
Yeah, and I think the theory also behind Dimensional Barrier or the Arc Rebellion came from Dimensional Barrier, and now especially when you're playing droplets to try to break the board, then Arc Rebellion just becomes like so much deadly.
Yeah, 100% agree. Another thing that came up a lot in testing was a lot of people post game 1, their sets are never only one card, they're always setting more than one card because either the engine has back row already that wants to be set, or they're opening hand traps like Imperm that they want to set, or droplets. So that is why I decided instead of Cosmics, even though Cosmics were good for like anti-spell, and there is certain things that Cosmic does come up in and it can be good, I just felt like I needed mass back row removal instead of just a 1-for-1. Because my theory for that was, because I'm playing Droplet, and when I'm siding in Droplet, I usually want a board breaker approach. So having all the additional hand traps that didn't really make sense with the Droplets. So having something that could actually break the board with Droplets made sense to me. So that's why I went for Lightning Storm. So if I could go Lightning Storm, chain Droplet, you basically win the game at that point.
Yeah.
Because the entire board can basically be switched off and destroyed.
Yeah.
I was actually happy with that instead of the Cosmics. I was very happy I played the Lightning Storms and Harpies instead of Cosmics.
Yeah.
The hand trap lineup was perfect. The 2 Ogres, 2 Drills, 2 Nubs with the crossouts, perfect. I genuinely, there's nothing that I've changed for that event. I felt like the deck was perfect.
Yeah, and I think your matchups were also pretty nice, because otherwise, like if you would have played against, for example, Branded, as we just talked, or against Pearly, or against like, what is this Fountain deck now again? Runic.
Oh,
Runic
Stun,
Runic.
Oh.
Then you would have had most likely needed a little bit more like Cosmic Cyclone or something like a Kaiju, or something to prevent the gimmick Puppet Lock from happening. Do you have any last words? Any shoutouts you want to give?
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to my testing partner, Aiden. I usually have a bigger testing group. Unfortunately, it was a much smaller testing group, 1 person, but it was enough. Shout out to you, definitely, Silent Blackwing. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
Thank you.
Yes. Shout out to Kanak, literally the top performing Blackwing players around the world. And shout out to my girlfriend for supporting me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And if you want to become a member and see the decklist that I have been playing and Dale Dawn actually also took to the Nationals, you can become a member from the link in the description down below. If you become a Diamond member, you even get access to combo videos and all extra videos that I make for my Diamond members. Yes, Dale is showing that it's definitely worth it. So if you want to get access to that, become a Diamond member from the link in the description below. Other than that, thank you for watching, and we're out.
それでも一人じゃなくなったあいつは強いよ。